Hey, tubies. This is Psychic Bob. It is so awesome to be with you. Well, here we are. It's Friday. It's the full moon, and Psychic Bob's still in charge. I was just sitting here today looking at my pendant. This is my triple moon pendant. You can see it's got the full moon and then the waning moon and waxing moon. And this is a popular symbol in the Wiccan movement to attune to lunar energies and goddess work. And, as I've been looking at the sky lately, I'm studying all the stars and the transits. And today we are in Scorpio. The moon is in Scorpio. So we have a full moon in Scorpio. See, there's Scorpio. This is a wonderful time because Scorpio moon highlights psychic energy. And if you've been wanting to develop your psychic perception, develop your mediumship, now's a wonderful time. It's an excellent time to do studies in mystical sciences such as astrology and witchcraft and mediumship. All these things are highlighted today under the Scorpio moon. So it's a wonderful day to delve into the mysteries. So, last week, excuse me, I did a video on Lord Jagannath. And that was in response to a lot of people who have been writing to me who are saying, Psychic Bob, I'm new to Wicca. I'm discovering the goddess. I love it. I'm having some problems relating to the god. Can you help me? And one of the things that I said in that video is that when we talk about the God, many of us come from backgrounds where we've been taught that God is evil and punishing and hateful and wrathful and just can't wait to throw you into hell. But the truth is, as you really develop in your spirituality, you come to a point where you have to, in a sense, meet the God. I know a lot of Wiccans love the goddess, which I love the goddess too, but really, for balance in the universe, we need a God and a goddess. And so if you've been shying away from the God, today I'm going to encourage you to be open to some new concepts here. The God I want to talk about today is a loving, beautiful God. He comes out of India, but he really actually is universal. And his name is Lord Krishna, or sometimes the Hindus call him Shri Krishna, which means the Lord as well. Shri is like Lord or opulent, the most exalted. So it's a title of honor. But Lord Krishna is a God that I have loved for many years. Before I was involved with Wicca, I used to go to Hindu temples. And all the Hindu temples, we have a large Hindu population in the Washington, D.C. area, so there are a lot of temples. And I used to go to various temples, and every temple I go to had beautiful statues and deities of Lord Krishna. And I came to feel really drawn to Lord Krishna. And it's really interesting because I actually first encountered Lord Krishna probably about 25 years ago when I was in London. And I visited the Hare Krishna temple in London. And for any of you who have ever been there, it's on Soho Street. It's wonderful. They have a restaurant next door. I think it's called Govinda's. And then they have the temple. And you can go on Sundays, have their worship service, and they have free lunch afterwards. Wonderful. But I love Lord Krishna. That's where I first saw him, and I was so intrigued. And the Hare Krishna devotees gave me some books on Lord Krishna and some pictures, and they had a gift shop, and I think I bought a poster. But I love Lord Krishna. And I'll tell you a little about the story of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is fascinating. He actually has a lot of parallels in his life to Jesus Christ. Lord Krishna was born probably is about 15,000 years ago. He goes back a little further than Jesus. But he was born into a family that descended from a royal lineage. And his parents, basically, his mother received a dream that God was going to come to her. And then she had, similar to Jesus, like a miraculous birth. And she, Krishna was born. And when Krishna was born, he revealed himself to be God incarnate. He gave an apparition of his spiritual form, and his parents then knew, oh wow, we've got God amongst us. like Mary and Joseph in Christianity. And like Jesus, Lord Krishna, as a child, he was stalked by the kings of the kingdom. You know how Herod chased Jesus? Well, they sent people to kill Krishna, and his parents had to flee and hide him, but he moved to a small little village called Vrindavan, and it was far away from the city and all the political powers. And there Krishna grew up as a cowherd boy. He had a very simple life, tending cows. But the whole time as he grew up, Lord Krishna did amazing things. Um, there was one time when a giant snake came to destroy the village, and the snake was actually a demon. And Lord Krishna, as a little kid, just basically went over and broke these giant snake's jaws. Now, this snake was like bigger than a house. And even as a little boy, he had miraculous powers. And everybody said, "Who is this kid?" And he would always do these sort of things. And Lord Krishna, one of the energies around him is that he treats his time on earth literally as a playtime. Lord Krishna always says, that he comes to enact his leelas. And leela means his play. And so he approaches everything from a lighthearted and a playful way. Yet he's very powerful. Many people, when they look at Lord Krishna, say, wow, he looks kind of strange, he's blue colored. And it is true that Lord Krishna had blue skin. Interestingly, I guess in India, a lot of people just accept things that are anomalies. And he lived basically a normal life as a child, even though he had blue skin. But it's interesting because the Hindu Pandits, the priests who had studied the ancient scriptures related to Lord Krishna, realized that he had all the markings on his body of being an advent of Vishnu, to be an avatar. Now, just to kind of clarify, this is where it gets a little complex. In Hindu theology, there are two trains of thought, and I think each have their points. One is that the great high God of the universe is called Lord Vishnu. Like Krishna, he's very loving, very, beautiful. He's also blue. Um, and they say that Lord Krishna was Lord Vishnu who incarnated on the earth. That's one view. The other view is that Lord Krishna is God himself in his original form on earth, and that these other forms of God, such as Lord Vishnu and Lord Rama, are incarnations of Krishna. And actually, I tend to believe that viewpoint simply because I've done a lot of study across the various scriptures about Lord Krishna. And so I tend to believe that, he is the original personality of Godhead, and the other ones are expansions of him. The Hindu religion is very fascinating because it says that God is always coming to the earth. And in the Bhagavad Gita, which is kind of like the Hindu Bible, Lord Krishna says that whenever there is a decline in righteousness on the earth, at that time I descend. So it means that at that time when the earth is going to a period of darkness, God comes to help liberate souls and keep the earth from total collapse and total decline. I love that. So when the Christians say, well, Jesus came, he was God, the Hindu would say, oh, yes, well, Jesus is another advent, a form of God. So according to their scriptures, God is always coming to the earth. So Jesus came to the earth, Krishna came to the earth, Lord Rama came to the earth. All the forms of God that help people occasionally appear on the earth. And Lord Krishna is believed to be the origin, the source of all incarnations of God. Lord Krishna is amazing because, when we talk about God in the West, a lot of people have this idea of the old man on the throne. But Lord Krishna, here he comes along. He's a boy wearing jewels and dancing in his turban with peacock feather. He was a prince, and he was always decked in jewels. Even though he lived as a cowherd boy, he still was connected to the royal family and still had some of those luxuries. But Lord Krishna now exists in the spiritual world, and many people who have done meditations and prayers have seen him or had glimpses, and they've all testified that yes, it is true. Lord Krishna has the beautiful blue skin, and he wears the most beautiful flowing silk garments and wears the most beautiful jewels. A lot of people say, well, look, he looks too young to be God. God's an old man on a throne. Not according to the Hindu teachings. In the Hindu teachings, God is eternally young. He is eternally beautiful. He possesses all wealth, all joy, all power. And he loves to distribute his wealth and power and beauty for anybody in the universe who wants it. You'll find that many of the worshipers of Lord Krishna are very joyful people. And they literally have a glow about them. And I really believe that Lord Krishna infuses many of his followers with a special power. It's like in Hinduism, they call it prema, which means love of God. And I think that prema that he puts into them literally gives them soul light. I tell you. Many of you may remember back, I remember when I was a kid in the 1970s, we would see the Hare Krishna devotees on the street dancing and chanting. In those days, they'd wear their orange robes and they had their heads shaved. They'd be Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Many of you may remember that. I remember seeing them. And, the Hare Krishnas are still around. They have temples all over the world, and they love Lord Krishna. So, if you want to learn more about that, I would encourage you to research and see if you can find a local Hare Krishna temple. They're really wonderful people. They have beautiful services. Their food is amazing. Speaking of food, that's one of the special traits of Lord Krishna is the Hare Krishnas will tell you about Krishna Prashadam or Prashad. And Krishna Prashadam is food that has been blessed and spiritualized by Lord Krishna. So basically what people do is they take a plate of food and a drink and they set it on their altar to Lord Krishna and they offer it to Krishna because in their belief, you give God everything and then God gives back to you. So then you take the food off the altar and now it's blessed. And not only is it just blessed, Krishna himself enters his power into the food. And it is in a form Krishna himself. Very much like the Christian communion. So, in the Catholic Church or the Christian churches, you have the body and blood of Christ. Hinduism has this as well, where it's the food is the body, the essence, the spiritual power of the God, and in this case, Krishna. So, I tell people, you might want to explore that because I have eaten Krishna Prasad, and I can tell you there really is a power to it. It's hard to put into words until you experience. But I challenge any of you, really, take a Sunday, go visit a Hare Krishna temple. You won't regret it. It's a wonderful time. The Hare Krishnas, despite what culture tried to make them out to be, people try to say, oh, they're a cult. They brainwash people. They're dangerous. No, they're just simply another form of Hinduism that has come to the West. And they are wonderful people. They have very high standards. One of the things is that if you're going to worship Lord Krishna, you must never offer him any meat products or alcohol or intoxicants, tobacco. Offerings to Krishna don't have to be elaborate, but they must be pure. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, if one offers me a leaf, a cup of water, or even some incense, I will accept it. So your offerings don't have to be elaborate, but they must be pure and done with love. See, the wonderful thing is that even the poorest of the poor can worship Lord Krishna. Because if you don't have anything, you can go outside and get a leaf off a tree and offer that, and he will bless you for that. I think that's a wonderful, beautiful element of mercy and kindness and compassion that I find in the worship of Lord Krishna. As I said, I've loved Lord Krishna. I actually have kept him as part of my pantheon, even though I'm a Wiccan these days, I still pray to him. He's always been in my heart. So he's one of my gods. And I know some people are saying, well, Bob, can Wiccans use Hindu gods or worship Hindu gods? Well, actually, I've talked to Hindus about this and I've researched it and found out that yes, the Hindus don't mind. They say Krishna is for everybody. All they ask is that you honor him by, for example, not offering him meat. Krishna is a vegetarian, so you can offer vegetarian foods to him, and that's the only kind of requirement in the in the worship of Lord Krishna, is that you make the offerings pure. So that's the only requirement. But as I said again, you don't have to go out and prepare, $10,000 dinners for Lord Krishna. If you have the money and want to do it, I'm sure he'll love it. But really, the simplest offerings are the best. Maybe some rice, maybe some salad, maybe a little water. These things you can all make and put on your altar and offer to God. I think it's a wonderful way to live. And I think that if more people would open their minds to giving to God with love, they would receive greater blessings. I really do believe it. I think it's a spiritual principle. But Lord Krishna, as I said, he's loved throughout India. And Lord Krishna is fascinating because according to the Hindu scriptures, by the way, I should touch on that, the scriptures associated with Lord Krishna are the Bhagavad Gita, I'll put that up here, and also the Srimad Bhagavatam. And these are scriptures that tell about the pastimes of the Lord, how he's come to earth, how he lives, what he looks like. The Hindu scriptures are very specific because they want you to know who God is, and they don't leave any question or doubt there. One of the passages in the Srimad Bhagavatam basically says, like one should visualize the Lord. And they say, they give a whole meditation in the Bhagavatam to start at the feet of the Lord, work up to his ankles, see his legs and clothes, see his jewels. Beautiful, wonderful passages. And in fact, I'm going to get a Bhagavatam here. I want to show you guys some of the passages. Here's one of my copies of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is wonderful because you'll see there's a lotus flower here, and then Lord Krishna and Radha. I have to talk about Radha. Radha's going to have to be a whole nother video. She's the goddess who's married to Lord Krishna and loves him. It's the Lord and the Lady. We'll do another video on her too. But this represents their view of the spiritual cosmos. So from the spiritual world opens a doorway, and then all the universe is populated with expansions of God. That from the origin of time, God expands throughout the whole universe. In fact, you can see the whole cover goes on. And inside every universe, there is an incarnation of God or of Krishna. So this concept is that God is with us from the beginning of the creation and never abandons us. And he actually, it says in the Bhagavatam, that Krishna expands, his body covers the entire universe, the interstellar galaxies of space, as well as he goes down into the heart of every person, and he's even in every molecule, every atom, at the core of every atom, the power that moves the atom, that animates atoms and atomic structures, is Krishna himself. In fact, I'll read a little passage here for you. And it says, this is like some sages are talking. It says, they said, "Here he is, the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature, and in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge, as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended." So what they're saying is that Krishna creates all things, and at the end of time, he submerges all things into himself. In the Hindu tradition, it's believed that the universe goes through cycles. And so at the end of this creation of this universe, all things will go back into Krishna, and again be one with him. So Krishna is the beginning, the middle, and the end of all creation. Um, the other book, as I mentioned, also is the Bhagavad Gita. You might want to get that. That's a wonderful, wonderful book. And in fact, I'm going to read a passage for you here about Lord Krishna's universal energy. Okay. As I mentioned, the other book is the Bhagavad Gita. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about Lord Krishna. And Arjuna, just to give you some background, there's a war about to happen. And Arjuna is a charioteer, Lord Krishna is a charioteer for Arjuna, who's one of the battle leaders. And he's meeting with Krishna because he knows that he may die. It's the end of, society as they know it, because there's going to be a devastating war. And so Arjuna is talking to Krishna, and Krishna reveals to him that he is actually God, God incarnate. And this shows the power of Krishna as it was revealed to him. And this is in chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita, called the Universal Manifestation. Thus spake Arjuna unto the blessed Lord, Krishna, saying, Thou hast removed my illusion and ignorance by thy words of wisdom regarding the supreme mystery of the Spirit, which thou hast spoken unto me out of thy great love and compassion. From thee I have learned the full truth regarding the creation and destruction of all things, and also concerning thy greatness and all-embracing eminence. Thou art indeed the Lord of all, even as thou describest thyself. But one final token of thy love for me I beg of thee, O Lord and Master. I would, if such be possible for me, that thou showeth unto me thine own countenance and form, the imperishable Spirit. And then Krishna responds and he says, Since thou askest me for this, O Arjuna, even shall it be granted thee. Behold, O Prince, my millions of forms, divine of all shapes and forms, species, colors, and kinds. Behold thou first the numberless heavenly hosts and celestial beings, angels, archangels, planetary gods, rulers of universes, and many other wonderful and mighty beings, scarce dreamt of in thy wildest speculations and fancies, O Arjuna. Then behold, as a unity, standing within my body, the whole universe, animate and inanimate, and all things else, that thy mind impelleth thee to see. Exercise thy fullest desires and hopes, and even thine imagination, and lo, all that thou hast desired or hoped for, or even imagineth, thou shalt see within me, but not within thine natural human eye see these things, O Arjuna, for they are finite and imperfect. But now I endow thee with the eye of the Spirit, with which thou mayst seest the glorious sight awaiting thee. Then, having spoken, Krishna, the blessed Lord of Lords, showed himself to Arjuna in the aspect of the supreme and absolute through its manifestations, and this aspect showed itself as many within the one. The many had millions of eyes and mouths, many wonderful appearances, forms with upraised weapons, many forms of clothing and array, jewels and vestments. The face of faces was turned everywhere and in all directions. The glory and radiance of a million suns would pale into significance before that vision of the mighty face. Then saw Arjuna the universe separated into its manifold parts and varieties as one within the body of Krishna, the Lord of all. Anyways, it goes on and on, but that's just a little taste of the mystery and power that exists within this humble little blue Lord, you know. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says elsewhere, he said, when I come to earth, many people deride me as a fool and mock me, not knowing my transcendental power. And so Arjuna, because he had faith in Krishna, was granted the vision of Krishna in his expansive universal form. Anyways, I love studying the ancient Hindu scriptures. I find that they're very compatible with the Wiccan views. The Wiccans and the Hindus really have a lot in common. So if you are somebody and you are trying to understand how to work with, the God aspect, I would encourage you to step outside of your traditional view and look at other gods through the light of their own history. Krishna has a history of brilliance, of beauty, of compassion. He's so gentle and loving to all of his devotees. He's always giving blessings. And he's a form of the God that I can relate to. And maybe if you're struggling with God, consider Krishna. Krishna is God. I believe Krishna is God. And so the God, the Lord, the male aspect of deity can exist in that form. So don't limit yourself to an old man on the throne hurling lightning bolts, unless you like that sort of thing. But Lord Krishna's worship is joyful, it's spontaneous, it's free. In fact, I'm going to put a link in the box below. I did a video a few years ago of me dancing to the Hare Krishna mantra. And if you want to chant for Lord Krishna, you can chant that mantra, but make sure to see the video below. But the mantra is basically Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And I could explain all that's a long story just on the mantra, it would be a whole video. But basically, in a nutshell, Hare means the energy of the Lord, which is the goddess aspect, which is the Shakti power, and that's a whole nother video. But Hare represents Radha, the goddess who loves Krishna. And Krishna, of course, is his name. The name Rama is another incarnation of Krishna. Remember, we said earlier, Krishna takes a lot of forms. So Lord Rama, who I'll put a picture up here, is also a form of Krishna. So Hare Krishna, Hare Rama is honoring God and saying that it's acknowledging that God exists in multiple forms and that he's always coming to earth to save it. Lord Rama was an incarnation who also came to earth to save it from demonic forces that were trying to take over the world. So you see, God is always coming to the earth, and I personally do believe that. You don't have to believe it, but I'm just putting it out there for you to look at and explore and to consider, okay? Anyways, guys, thank you for being here. I love you guys. Keep it here. We got more coming tomorrow, Saturday, so we got Saturday night seance. You don't want to miss it. Be here. By the way, hit subscribe and join our community. And make sure to go get your horoscopes at robert-hickman.com. I'll put links below to all of this. And go see the video on Hare Krishna. Thanks for being here. Love you guys. Blessings. Have a wonderful Friday. We'll see you soon.